Hey guys, welcome to the Warlock Supplemental for Court of Stars. Standard disclaimer at the start of most of these videos for the time being, because I've been sick, I haven't been recording, so these recordings are from Tomb of Sargeras times. You're going to be seeing Tomb of Sargeras health and damage numbers, but that doesn't really change anything. I just want to quickly go over talents, no, not Holy Paladin talents. For this, I generally would go with Howl of Terror over Demonic Circle, because there's nothing really special you can do with Demonic Circle here. Dark Pact on the higher ones, just because you need to survive. Burning Rush on the lower ones, but you can mount up in Court of Stars, so you don't really need Burning Rush at all. When coming up to this first area, if your group is CCing this mob up here to skip it, just remember, don't have your pet out, because for some reason, if you try to walk a pet past a CC'd mob, it's going to put you in combat, and you're either going to die, or have to pull something you didn't want to pull. Jumping a little bit ahead, when you get to the dock pull, you might want to consider having your Doomguard out instead of your Infernal. It is an AoE pull, but the interrupt here is so important, you might just want to take the damage loss and instead go for the interrupt. Just be safe. You know, it's going to make the pull last 3 seconds longer, and you're not going to wipe, so it's probably worth it to have your Doomguard out. Now, when you get up to this second area across the river, most people are just going to say, hey, you could have just put your pet on passive, mounted up, and gone over. You didn't need to dismiss it. You want to dismiss your pet here. I'm betting just about every Warlock out there knows there's some times where your pet says, hey, the Warlock moved 1 step forward. How about I go 30 steps forward, then 29 steps back? Everyone's been there. If that happens here, you're pulling that Manifestation on the side, you're pulling that Construct on the side, maybe that Mana Saber, and you're wiping your group. So just, it's not worth it. This pull lasts, look, it lasted like 10 seconds. You don't need a pet out for this. Just play it safe. Like, our Boom Kid's not using his shoulders because if he moonfires, it'll hit that construct. It's the same thing with the pet. Just leave your pet dismissed until you get past this little area here with this pillar, and you'll be just fine. You'll be a lot safer just to leave your pet dismissed. Coming up on the first boss, the first thing you need to remember is this boss, for 99% of groups, he dies at 25% health. Not 0%, because 99% of groups have an Alchemist or a Rogue. So what's going to happen is your Execute Ring is mostly worthless here. So instead, if you're fighting him by himself, you're going to want Helm and Neck. We were fighting him with a bunch of trash, so I went ahead and I wore my AoE gear. But if you're fighting by himself, just your Helm and your Neck, that's going to be your best setup for this. And also in this, you can see that I'm fearing the Construct to proc my Sephuz. You can fear just about everything in this instance. Now, the thing is, with Constructs, you may think, oh, we could fear them. We can interrupt with fear. No, what you're going to do if you fear a Construct is you're just going to delay its casts. The only thing you can stop from a Construct is Suppress. The Suppress, if it's already channeling, can be interrupted by fear. But other than that, it'll just keep trying to recast, and eventually it's going to get its cast off if you're fighting Construct. Well, you shouldn't be fighting any live Constructs anyways, unless you have absolutely no choice. Once you reach the second part of the dungeon, you're going to be dealing with Enforcers and the second mini-boss, both of which you're going to be LOSing. Just a quick note here, this is only going to take a second. When you're going to LOS, best thing you can do is reapply your instant cast dots as you're moving behind the wall, and while you're behind the wall for a second or two, just life tap, just so you're using the time. Otherwise, you're just twiddling your thumbs and getting nothing done, no damage, no nothing. Even if you don't need to reapply your dots, might as well reapply them because there's nothing else you can do while moving. The only other special things for Warlocks in the second area is how good your Infernal is for Inquisitors, because Inquisitors have this nasty bug. If you stun them for too long, the next time they try to cast Searing Glare, you won't be able to interrupt it, and it'll just one-shot a bunch of people in your group. As you can see there, I used my Infernal stun. Alright, everything didn't go great on this pull, but Searing Glare bugged out, nothing I could do about it. But the Infernal stun keeps you from hitting that bug. We'd already hit the bug because of something else, but I tried to help as much as I could. Because your Infernal Stun is 2 seconds, it won't overlap the time that the Inquisitor wants to cast a Searing Glare, so it won't bug out the Searing Glare. Now, longer stuns, like Monk stuns, or, I don't know, probably Hunter stuns, are just a little too long, and they'll bug them out, and you're going to see people getting one-shot, especially on fortified keys. With the second boss as a Warlock, you got two choices. You can either go for boss damage or imp damage. If it's a particularly high key or your group's particularly bad at AoE, just go for your AoE gear and just spam sow the seeds the entire time. That's my personal favorite thing to do. But if your group's just absolutely annihilating imps and you barely get a single seed cast off every time they come up, might as well just put on your regular gear, focus the boss down, and get it out of the way as fast as you can. Now, if you have Fear, like Howl of Terror rather, and you have Infernal Stun, just coordinating with your group, they're great for keeping the imps from casting. Also procs your Sephuz, you can fear the imps with a regular Fear to proc your Sephuz. I'm using Chest and Ring on this. You can use both rings on this if you want. A little safer. Chest is banking on procs and it really doesn't work that great anymore. It's still pretty good if you get good procs, but I'm leaning more towards double ring at this point. On the final boss, a lot of Warlocks will make the mistake of thinking because they're nearly invincible in raid, they're going to be nearly invincible here. This boss will wreck you on higher keys. On like a high fortified or even a mid to high tyrannical, I don't care how much you're draining for, he will kill you. So don't fall into the trap of thinking, hey, I'm just going to drain through Maelstrom. Because on a higher key, when he's got all of his images out, he's doing max damage with Maelstrom, you are going to get absolutely trucked. And you gotta let your healer know that. If they're not used to doing high keys, they're gonna be used to Warlocks being able to keep themselves up with drain. They're not gonna toss a heal your way, you're going to die. A good thing to remember, also, toss on some Avoidance gear. 20% damage reduction. You and your healer will be much happier if you're taking 20% less damage. Pride, also a good option. It'll sorta help. You know, it'll only take one tick on a higher key, but that one tick might save your life. Remember, rotate in your defensive cooldowns. And if you've already used your health stone, let your group know and say, hey, if my health dips really low, can you use a health stone? Because Sweet Souls can save you so many times. I've been saved like 100 times easily just on this boss alone because I've done him several hundred times. Probably even more than a few hundred. And it saved me at least 100 times just asking someone in your group, hey, could you use a health stone to keep me alive? Other than that, that's the entire instance. This one doesn't really have that many special things Warlocks can do. You can't do any fancy tricks. You can't really do much that makes your group go wow, but you can find ways to stay alive. You can find ways to increase your damage. You can fear a lot of stuff. But other than that, that's everything for Court of Stars for Warlocks. If you have any other suggestions that I might have missed, might not have thought of mentioning if I already knew them, who knows, maybe you know a bunch of stuff that I'm not using, please just put it in the comments. I'd be happy to have it there so other people can learn some stuff to improve their Court of Stars runs. But that's all for now. Take care, guys.